There are many amazing shmups released on many platforms, ranging all the way back to 1980s arcades, all the way to modern consoles. However, the undisputed king of shmups is undoubtedly the Sega Saturn. Yep, the Sega Saturn not only had a ton of shooters released on it, but the quality of many of those shooters are still unmatched to this day. More or less, if you had a gun to your head and you had to choose one console to own as a die-hard shmup fan, your answer better be the Saturn. There was absolutely no way this list could be a top 5 given how many great shooters called the Saturn home. I would have personally slipped into a deep dark depression had it been limited to just 5 titles. So, in order to make myself feel a little better, here is a list of the top 10 Sega Saturn shmups released. In many ways, this list could almost be considered the top 10 shmups ever released, period, given how high quality every single game on this list is. But unfortunately, that would be doing many other amazing shmups released on other platforms a huge disservice, so let's not get carried away here, Wiggles. But anyways, without further delay, let's get into our list. Number 10, Sonic Wings Special. No, this isn't some half-off special on cheap diarrhea-inducing hot wings at Sonic. No, this is one of the best shmups on the Sega Saturn. The Sonic Wings series, also known as Aero Fighters outside Japan, is still one of the best STG series ever made, and Sonic Wings Special essentially combines all the best parts of the 3 previous games and wraps them up into an amazing package. Think of this as being the Mortal Kombat trilogy of shooters. Yeah, but in Sonic Wings Special, you'll be selecting a team of jet fighters from different countries and organizations, and using them against wave after wave of enemies. Beyond the cool planes and characters, as well as the awesome enemies and bosses, you also have branching and alternative stage paths, which make replaying this game essential. Kick enough ass and you can actually unlock secret characters as well, unlocking even more stages and stage variants. Sonic Wings Special, definitely an incredible shooter and a must-own for any self-proclaimed shmup fan. Number 9, Batgun. Universally known by pretty much every STG fan, the developer Cave has produced some of the most well-known and highly acclaimed shooters over the past 25 years. However, before their inception in 1994, many of the people that would go on to found Cave worked at a little company called Toei Plan during the 1980s and early 90s. Toei Plan created some of the coolest shooters back in the day, including Flying Shark, Truxton, and Tiger Heli. However, it is one of their very last games, Batgun, that holds up as their very best. Released in 1993 in the arcades, Batgun was absolutely ahead of its time. In terms of visuals and how smooth the gameplay is, there was literally no equal to it when it came out. 3 years later in 1996, this game was somehow miraculously ported to the Saturn, and somehow didn't cause the system to burst into flames. Its colorful, vibrant visuals combined with how fast-paced and chaotic this game is, makes it a technical marvel that even games released years later couldn't touch. Batgun was undoubtedly the king of the bullet hell genre in the early 90s, and its enduring appeal makes it absolutely worthy of being on this list. Number 8, Layer Section 2. Layer Section 2? Is that the name of some double-decker pizza you can get from Domino's? Okay, no more shmup food analogies. I probably just need to get something to eat at this point. But anyhow, Layer Section 2, aka Raystorm, is hands down one of the best Sega Saturn shmups. Layer Section 2 has you taking out enemies right in front of you, as well as in the background with a homing laser attack. Being able to manage the enemies in the background becomes an absolutely essential survival skill in this game, and also what makes Layer Section 2 so much damn fun. Outside the awesome addictive gameplay of Layer Section 2 are its kick-ass visuals and excellent OST. The attention to every 3D model in this game is a sight to behold, even if early 3D is kinda gross by modern standards. Hey, but I love it. Having massive bosses and cool sci-fi levels is what makes a great shmup great, and Layer Section 2 is no exception. Whether you're playing this game on the Saturn, PS1, or PS2, or Saturn, just make sure you play this ridiculously good shooter. Number 7, Thunder Force Gold Pack 2. Okay, including a compilation is a little cheap given the added value of getting more than one game, but because of the 2 shooters included on this compilation, I'd be a giant dick for not including this game. Gold Pack 2 includes Thunder Force AC, which is the arcade version of the excellent Thunder Force 3, as well as the best game in the entire Thunder Force series, Thunder Force 4, baby. But whether you prefer Thunder Force 3 or 4, you get both on this absolutely incredible compilation that definitely has the first Gold Pack B. The Thunder Force series was one of the most famous and iconic shooter series of the early 90s, and every Genesis kid fondly remembers renting and owning these titles back in the day. There's a good reason for that, since both Thunder Force 3 and 4 are arguably the two best entries in the franchise, and this compilation gives you the best way of enjoying both of these games on just one disc. Praise be to Technosoft for giving us these glorious games, including the next game on our list. Number 6, HyperDuel. Originally released in the arcades in 1993, HyperDuel has you essentially playing as Starscream from Transformers, as you toggle between an agile yet weaker jet fighter, or a larger, slow, badass mech with a powerful gun. HyperDuel has to be one of the most criminally underrated shooters ever made, and sadly is probably more famous for how expensive it is on the Sega Saturn, more than how excellent of a game it is. In HyperDuel you'll be taking on not only your standard fare giant spaceships, but also fellow mech pilots and mechs that take up almost the entire screen. All around, HyperDuel is such a high-quality shmup that was rivaled by very few games on the Saturn, or hell, most other games at that time. But if you love the Thunder Force series, you're bound to love HyperDuel. Just be prepared to take out a second mortgage to afford it. Number 5, Sokyo Garentai. Sokyo Garentai is a 1996 shmup developed by the legendary Rising, which may or may not have more games on this list, just saying. But anyhow, one of their very best games and one of the best shmups on the Saturn is this criminally underrated gem. In many ways, Sokyo Garentai is very similar to Layer Section 2 mentioned earlier, in that you're given both a direct shot to obliterate whatever's in front of you, but also a homing laser attack you'll be using for crowd control as well. And trust me, thinning out the hordes of enemy ships that come your way is essential if you plan on making it past the first stage. Combining excellent 2D graphics with various 3D models and backgrounds, Sokyo Garentai is one of the most visually distinct and awesome looking shooters you're bound to play on any console. But luckily, this game is more than just a pretty face and will have you coming back for more and more despite its harsh difficulty and steep learning curve. I seriously can't think of a better game to separate the boys from the men, but playtime is over. Let's see what other shmup gems the Saturn holds. Number 4, Dodonpachi. It would literally be impossible for me to mention Cave just once in this list. Dodonpachi was Cave's second effort after their pretty good Dodonpachi. However, there is nothing, and I mean nothing even remotely pretty good about Dodonpachi. No, everything in Dodonpachi is f***ing amazing. Even to this day, its amazingly smooth, tight controls are nearly unmatched by any, and I mean any shooter release, ever. It's almost crazy to me that there are other shmups on the Saturn that are better than this game. That's just how awesome Dodonpachi is. Dodonpachi has been the gold standard for years in the bullet hell genre. This game might as well have you dodging raindrops in a monsoon with how many bullets fill the screen. And yes, this game looks and sounds incredible too. Dodonpachi, just play this game, please. It's just so nice. Number 3, Layer Section. However great Layer Section 2 is, it can't even come close to how good its predecessor is. Yep, Layer Section stands as one of the very best shmups ever made, and by virtue, one of the best shmups on the Sega Saturn. And luckily, it's one of the few Saturn games on this list you don't have to screw around with importing to play. Layer Section, aka Galactic Attack, aka Ray Force, aka Gunlock. Okay, how hard is it just to name your game one name? Hell, even 2 would be more acceptable than this. But my point is, this game was released in many regions outside Japan, including North America and Europe. You pretty much just have to find out what this game was named in your neck of the woods and try tracking it down. Like Layer Section 2, Layer Section has you blasting away ships in both the foreground and background with a homing laser you can upgrade via power-ups enemies drop. You can also just blast the hell out of anything that happens to end up in front of you as well, but in order to get anywhere in this game, you'll have to heavily utilize the aforementioned homing laser. More than its awesome gameplay, Layer Section has you feeling like you're on this epic sci-fi journey to save the Earth as you blast through enemies down to the Earth's core. Throw in a bunch of amazing bosses, excellent level design, and one of the best shmup OSTs, and you have an unforgettable game on the Sega Saturn. Number 2, BattleGarega. If you've watched any of my other videos so far, I seem to constantly reference and talk about BattleGarega whenever I can. That's because Garega is not only one of the best shmups ever made, but also one of the best video games I've ever played. I am dead serious. The level of detail, design, and quality that emanates from every single stage, section, ship, and pixel is rivaled by very, very few video games, even to this day. Despite it being number 2 on this list, I've probably played through BattleGarega more than any other shooter I've ever played. Seriously. BattleGarega has you choosing between one of 4 cool steampunk World War II style planes, or if you really want to get freaky, you can actually choose from some of the fighters from Kingdom Grand Prix. You then fight your way through some of the very best shmup levels ever conceived. My personal favorite is the Clouds level. You are literally flying over some majestic storm to some of the sickest beats ever put into a video game. On top of that, you are also battling some insanely powerful and awesome ships and bosses as well. It truly does not get any better than this. Or does it? Why yes. Yes it does. Number 1, Radiant Silvergun. If perfection was a shmup, its name would be Radiant Silvergun. You will never find a better, more entertaining, more fun shooter on the Saturn or arguably any other console, arcade board, smartphone, or any other place where shmups dwell. I'm completely serious. Radiant Silvergun is the pinnacle of the genre and one of the few insanely expensive retro games that I can say without any hesitation is worth whatever amount of money you need to pay to own this game. Luckily, if you're not an idiot collector like myself, you can settle for having an HD remaster of this game on Xbox Live Arcade, which absolutely needs to occupy your 360 or Xbox One's hard drive. Regardless of whatever version you decide to go with, just do yourself a favor and play this game. Like many other treasure games released during the 90s, you are given an almost constant stream of bosses, quirky anime characters, puzzle elements thrown in, and some of the best action gameplay a fan of 90s retro games could ask for. You are given 6 different fire modes that allow you to deal with pretty much any situation you find yourself in this game, and above all else, you have a fucking giant sword on your ship. Like, that alone gives this game the number 1 spot. Thank you everyone else that lost, good night. But Radiant Silvergun is such an outstanding game that few other games, shmup or otherwise, could ever dream of touching. Its scale, presentation, soundtrack, story, I mean literally everything in this game is incredible, and it's hard for me to recommend a game more strongly than Radiant Silvergun. All these reasons is why this game undoubtedly takes the number 1 spot as the best Sega Saturn shmup ever made. And there you have it, folks, the 10 best Sega Saturn shooters. I've included several links in the description below to lenders and low-interest personal loans you can apply for. Applying for one only takes a few minutes, and after that, you can drop the equivalent of a down payment on a house and own every single one of these incredible games. Okay, kidding, but do what you can to play these games in your lifetime. And if you're a huge fan of shmups like myself, make sure you own a Saturn, as it's the essential piece of hardware for any shmup fan. But as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.